Welcome to the For Real Though Show, the podcast with a purpose for the people. I'm your host, Christopher Keith, and today we're doing a special For Real Though Show just because of the verdict today that I'm sure you all have heard about, and I just want to share a few thoughts that I had. Won't get too deep into the minutia of anything like that about the trial, but just some thoughts. So if you heard the first podcast that I did earlier today, and I mentioned the trial, I didn't express any um, particular excitement about the prospect of the verdict, but I did have a little bit of hope, and the reason for that hope is because the jury was asking for a lot of information. The judge's instructions were very confusing. Of all the lawyers I heard on TV and radio, none of them understood what the fuck he was talking about. So that made it pretty tough. But it seemed like that they were inquiring, and then it got to a point where they even asked for the video. And obviously, we know from the closing arguments, on the video that was reiterated once again was that, uh, not only did the little fuck boy shoot those three people, killing two of them, blowing the arm off the other, he lied about, being a medic and all this other kind of shit, act like he was the victim and all of that. Uh, so, so I thought that there was some jury members who were, working hard, to try to figure this thing out. But what I believe happened is that there were some hardliners in their jury as well. And, they did have a jury expert on the defensive side uh, who's kind of specializes in making sure they get the right kind of jurors for, the people that they want. And, so between the game show type of deal where the boy got to go in and pick his own jurors and all this other kind of stuff, uh, and them already stacking the jury as it is, then I believe, you had enough hardliners on there that just wore the people out who were, saying, no, there was a crime here. There's some bullshit. Ain't no way you could explain all this shit. Uh, so if it was just as easy as them just no, not guilty, not guilty, not guilty, there would be no reason to, deliberate for 4 days. But I believe there were some hardliners who were like, hey man, I don't care what you say, I don't care what you do. At the end of the day, you show me all the evidence you want. I ain't voting for guilty. So we just gonna be here. And unfortunately, uh, the people who were conscientious on the jury, who do have common sense, instead of standing on a, squares and being like, like say for instance, if that was me on the jury, I'd be like, hey, I tell you what, then okay, so you ain't gonna budge, motherfucker, I ain't gonna budge either. So I guess we'll see your ass tomorrow. I guess we'll see you on Saturday. Guess we'll see you on Sunday. Oh shit. Well, I guess we might be here through Thanksgiving then. I guess we might be here after Thanksgiving because we gonna hang this motherfucking jury and then they can do this shit all over again with a whole lot of other jurors and just rinse, repeat. So it's unfortunate, that the other people, didn't have the heart, to just stick by their own conscience and do what they need to do. So that was again, that's kind of what I believe happened, and it's the most logical thing that could have happened. Most of my friends, and what I saw on social media in the immediate aftermath was, actually just two words, man, two words, and those two words were not surprised, not surprised. I just saw those two over and over again, and it's a damn shame, that we're not surprised. Uh, but I don't want to miss a point, an important point in this, in that just because we're not surprised, it doesn't mean that the shit was right. It doesn't mean there's not trauma behind that decision. It doesn't mean that it wasn't a gut punch, So I'm acknowledging that gut punch myself. I saw it live. After I got a text that there was going to be a verdict, that the verdict was in, I actually stepped out of my office, went to the break room, pulled out my phone, and watched the live stream of it. And, after one not guilty after the other, man, I ain't gonna lie, this shit hurt. I was pretty it was like a gut punch, once again, so much so that I even called my mother, you know, and just got talk with her about it. She's really laser focused on the Ahmaud Arbery trial herself. even though, when she said she expected this to go the way it did. Again, it's not that I didn't. It's just that I had some hope because I knew some jurors weren't buying it, weren't buying it. So to that point, it is definitely a point in history, where somebody could, do what he did, take their gun out of state, be not of age, have his mama take them, so she's actually aiding and abetting in the crime. Uh, 3 people get shot, 2 people get killed, one person loses his arm, is totally destroyed, and just get off scot free, like ain't shit happened. You know, the judge was already in his pocket. We already know that he was slobbering over the little boy. They probably out tonight. They probably out having drinks right now as we speak, and or he's over his house. Uh, wouldn't surprise me at all. Prosecution wasn't great, and it goes to show you when it came to Derek Chauvin, that's why Keith Ellis, the attorney general, had to, for the whole state, had to say, I'm gonna take this shit over myself and make sure we get some really good litigators on this case. So, it ain't gonna be no bullshit. No matter what happens, we're gonna make sure we put on a strong ass motherfucking case. And they said, he said, hey, we wasn't taking nothing for granted. That's what all those guys said on they weren't taking nothing for granted. I don't care how much you saw on the video, at the end of the day, the white man gonna get the benefit of the doubt. So they made sure that they put on a slam dunk in your face, slapping you upside the head, dick in your mouth, type of case. You like some shit you can't you can't dispute. That's what they did, and that's what they got. So in this case, you didn't have that. You didn't have that. You had some bullshit ass prosecutors that really didn't, know what they was doing. And don't get me wrong, the judge fucked them over, from the beginning, saying, hey, you could call these guys who were shot, you could call them thugs, you can call them rioters, you can call them looters, even though you can call them arsonists, even though none of them were shown to do anything. They wasn't robbing, stealing, burning anything. They didn't have, none of them had committed any crimes at all. None of them were accused of any crimes. But nevertheless, this is where Judge Scrotum was going with it, so you can saw what his get down was. He making Asian jokes, probably made a few nigger jokes here and there too. So I thought the prosecution, the strongest thing they did was gave a nice closing argument. But outside of that, but it was tough. I mean, it was tough, and if you ain't super, super cold, it's hard dealing with a judge like that. The last time I seen a judge like that was in the Chicago 7, back in the 60s when I saw that movie, where that judge was just, where he had my man tied up, bound up with tape over his mouth. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of bullshit, you're dealing with. But, so let's go back again. This is why it's important, for us as citizens to make sure we're voting, to make sure we're aware of what the judges are, what they stand for, prosecutors and stuff like that. Yeah, it takes a little work, right? You're not going to win every election or whatever, but you do need to be involved. You do need to know what these people stand for, what they're about, because again, we are the people, right? The system, even though people say it's designed to do what it does, we have to remember, I don't care about the quote unquote system because it's not an inanimate object, right? It's not a rock or a box. In the Wizard of Oz, the wizard was just, a cat hanging out in the back hiding. You know what I'm saying? He was perpetrating a fraud. In the Wiz, it was just Richard Pryor back there, a little bitty old cat, right? But he had everybody shook. So what we have to realize is the system are just people. And if you get the right people in the system, then, that system is going to work differently, because the people make the difference. It's not an inanimate object. It's not a machine. It's not a computer, right? It's it's people. And so, this is why, again, we have to make sure that we're involved, engaged, that we're intelligent, and I'm speaking about myself too. I ain't just talking about somebody else. I'm saying we all could do better and we all need to do better. And, obviously, what we see today is just another act of the standard being upheld, which is, hey, you get the right jurors in there, the right white jurors in there, and you do realize that the defense had a jury expert, who has worked on some pretty high profile cases before, and they know how to pick them. They know how to pick them. And then you got my man playing the game show, picking out the numbers and stuff like, picking them out and whatnot. So obviously it was all stacked. It was all stacked for him. Um, but again, that standard, was held up this time. But again, I want to make sure that, we do address, the stress, the trauma. I can tell you for me, it's trauma, even though, again, I'm not surprised, right? I'm not surprised. It didn't mean it didn't hurt. It didn't mean, you don't have to be surprised, you know, uh, you don't have to be surprised about something to still be affected by it. So it doesn't mean that you just, oh well, no, no, no. Even for a lot of people who just said they're not surprised and that was it, trust me, they got a gut punch too. They're hurting too. They're angry too. And I want to make sure that, we all deal with our emotions, our thoughts, our feelings, uh, our trauma. Make sure we face that head on. Don't deny it. And you have to make sure that you deal with it, in a healthy way, with your eyes wide open. We still got another trial, to deal with right now. The Mount Arbery trial. We know what's going on with that. They also had a, you know, fuck boy on there too, doing his crying impression and whatnot. But again, you got the prosecutor doing a much better job, even so much so that they asked the cat yesterday, hey man, so he didn't do nothing, right? Nope, wasn't reach for nothing. Nope. Didn't threaten you. Nope. Didn't grab your gun. Nope. He didn't do none of that shit, but uh he was just running from you, right? Yep, he was just running, So you guys, and you got the judge down there that wasn't quite like Judge Scrotum. He didn't care nothing about black men who are men of the cloth. He didn't mind them coming to the, courthouse. He understood that they're free citizens to do as they please, and to show up in a public hearing. Uh, so there's that. So we got to stay vigilant to that, right? We got to stay vigilant to that, and we got to do some, with our grief. So I tell you what I'm gonna do. What I'm gonna do this weekend. Uh, just did my first high school basketball game of the year. Regular season, been doing a lot of scrimmages, but first, the girls start before the guys a week before. So I had an opening game tonight, did a girls basketball game, pretty good game. Enjoyed myself, I had time to collect my thoughts. Uh, and I'm gonna go ahead and veg out tonight, right? Got a scrimmage in the morning. And but other than that, I'm off the rest of the weekend, man. I'm gonna do what I do. I'm gonna veg out. I'm gonna give me a little buzz, right? I'm gonna relax, watch a little mindless TV. The Lakers and the Celtics are on right now, so I'm gonna watch that. See what my man Brian up to. Get this little squad together. Like I said, I'm gonna give me a buzz, nice little buzz. I ain't saying I'm gonna get high as giraffe, pussy, gas prices, or inflation, but I'm gonna get my little buzz on because again, this is the way for me, right? The way for me to do it is just step away from it all, right? I'm not gonna be watching the news. That's one thing I'm not gonna do. I'm not gonna watch the news probably the whole weekend. And the reason why is because, number one, this is just for me. I don't want to see fuck boy's face. I want to see him smiling and giggling and laughing. I don't want to hear what his mama got to say. I don't want to hear all these Republicans just gonna try to, have him on the squad and all this other kind of stuff, praising them. I don't want to see all that. I know what's gonna happen, but I'm just not gonna do that to my damn self, right? So I'm just gonna step away from it. I don't want to see the fuck boy. I don't want to see no explanations. I don't want to hear no lawyers talk about it because we already know what it is. It's some bullshit. It's some old racist, fuck boy shit. So that's what it is. So that's me, man. That's what I'm gonna do. But I want you all, to do the same, not necessarily what I do, but just make sure you do something for yourself, acknowledge, spend time with your family, and heal and heal. I feel bad, for our allies who were killed. I really do. I feel really bad for their families. I really feel bad that there just was no recourse. I hope there's something civil that they can do. Um, but one thing about the little fuck boy, man, that's I I tell you what, one thing that I know it's gonna happen, but I really hate to see it. Is like I said, all these people, they're just gonna they're gonna use this boy for all he can. They're gonna use him for all they can. I already heard of one guy talking about he can come on my staff as an intern, and all that. So what was his qualifications? Shooting 3 innocent people, but see, remember, like I said before, he shoot people who were protesting and helping, even a medic helping, rendering service and aid to people on behalf of Black Lives Matter, right? On behalf of Jacob Blake. So again, that's the standard, right? That's the standard. So, like I said earlier, hey, they'll kill their own. They'll turn on their own to uphold the standard of racism, you know. So realizing that again, there's so many layers to it, but again, I'm about to get into my 1619 project. Shout out Nicole Hannah Jones. And I'm gonna tell you what though, and here's what I can promise you. Like I said about the people who were on the jury, they should have stayed their course, right? The people who knew that there was a crime should have stayed their course. Tell you what I'm gonna do. Like I said, I'm gonna get my buzz on. I'm gonna chill, and all that. Like I just said, we can laugh about that, right? But don't make no mistake about it. Don't get it twisted. My spirit ain't broken. I'm a warrior. I'm a fighter. I'm gonna stay the course. You understand? I would not piss on my ancestors. I would not make them ashamed of me. I'm not afraid to stick my neck out. I understand that you could be blackballed. I understand that you could be killed, you could be murdered, that there could be no recourse for that murder. But guess what? I guarantee you, none of these people, they're not going to take my spirit. They're not going to take my joy. They're not going to take my warrior spirit. I'm still going to fight for what's right. I got some legal situations going on right now that, those of you who are really closest to me know about. So, and even with that, right? Hey, I'm gonna stick my neck out. That's what Dick Gregory said. He said, I'm like a turtle. I'm like a turtle. I'm hard on the outside. I'm soft on the inside. And I stick my neck out occasionally. And that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm just letting the world know, there are times when we fall and we take a ass whooping. Talked about taking an L, right? This was an L. This was an L for justice. This was an L for, the people who were killed. This is, for their families. Hell, to be honest with you, it's an L for Kenosha. It's an L for Kenosha. It's an L for Wisconsin. It's an L for the country. It's an L for justice, right? But that ain't where it stops. So I promise you, I'm gonna keep on doing this show. Regardless, even what happens in the Arbery trial, don't matter. I'm gonna fight to my last breath. I will be here for you. I will be here for my family. I'll be here for my community, and I'm gonna always speak what's right. I'm gonna say what's right. They ain't gonna never shut me up, regardless. Okay. So that's what I want you guys to do too, man. Stand on your square. Get educated, learn what's going on, learn about the people in your community. You don't be one of these people who, act like they don't want to be on the jury and shit, right? I remember going jury duty. They don't get me wrong, it is some bullshit in the jury duty game, because it ain't about justice when you go on jury duty. It's really about the prosecution wants somebody that's gonna go with them, the defense wants somebody that's gonna go with them. They don't want an impartial motherfucker. Okay. I learned that like with my own two eyes. Ask any lawyer there, he'll tell you the same thing. I was just naive enough at the time when I had jury duty, and I really was like, my mindset was, what, this is my civic duty, and guess what? I could be that person that's on trial. I could be that person, or I could be that person, who lost a loved one, in this kind of fashion. And but I heard so many people bitching and stuff about being on the jury. I want to be on the jury. I want to and I told them, I remember saying it, even at them, I was like, man, y'all pitiful, man. Y'all should just stop whining. What if you was up there? What if your life was on the line? What if your son or your daughter or your cousin them life was on the line? Would you want somebody in the jury to just act like they don't want to fucking be there. Yeah, it's an inconvenience, but it's part of the fucking system. And here's the thing, again, you talk about systems, right? Again, systems are people. So if you don't want to be involved, if you don't want to do jury duty, then you can't get up there and talk shit about what the fuck happens on the jury. You can't say shit. You got to be involved, man. I'm saying this over and over and over again. You have to be involved. You are responsible for your own environment. You're responsible for your own freedom. You're responsible to shed light, to make change, and to make a difference in your community, in your world, in your household. It starts with you, so you can't be checked out. You can't always be thinking about what you want to do. Sometimes, you got a fucking duty to do, you know, and, somebody, you should want to get on the trial. I know it's $12 a day or whatever the fuck it is, right? But do you know, you just, again, here it is 2021, they still just getting rid of black folks off of juries. I mean, it happens every day, and you as a black person, or a progressive, have the nerve to say you don't want to be on the jury. But then when this shit happens, you like, well, oh, well, I'm not surprised. Well, motherfucker, I ain't surprised either if you ain't trying to be involved, right? So look, that's on us, man. That's a rebuke that we got to take. We got to eat that, And again, it don't mean that we're gonna win every single time, because in most times you're gonna take L's. But you're gonna get more W's the more you're involved. The more you're involved, the more you're invested. So that's all I'm gonna say, man. Hey, God bless you guys, man. I tell you what, like I said, I'm gonna kick it this weekend. I'm gonna heal. I'm gonna spend some time with my family next week in St. Louis. Can't wait to see some of my peeps. Smoke some cigars, have some laughs and some good times. I still got my eye on the prize though, but I know how to rest. I know how to get away. I know how to listen to my spirit. You guys listen to your own spirits as well. Heal, rest, repair. Keep your eyes on the prize. Keep your eye out for this Ahmaud Arbery trial. Stay vigilant. Get involved. Rest, heal, and then get back on the horse. Okay, get back on the horse. All right. So y'all take it easy, man. Have a great holiday, Thanksgiving and whatnot. Stay safe. And as always, keep it real.